I-95 Bangor's classic rock station. It's the More Music Morning Show, 729. A very special guest in the studio, Mr. Mike Tripp, who survived Irma. Serious bragging rights, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a wild weekend, to say the least.
I would say so. So you were down there for a wedding. Kind of talk a little bit about the wedding. You know, the weather looked great for it and all the pictures and everything.
Oh, the wedding was perfect for it. Benny Langcourse actually did a last-minute fill-in for officiating the wedding, and he just absolutely killed it. I mean, it's viral Facebook video. Yeah. You know, he did an absolutely amazing job. But yeah, the wedding went perfect. The weather was great. Just awesome crew. Obviously, we had the post-wedding shenanigans. Everything went, as expected.
No one was arrested somehow.
Yeah, by some miracle, nobody was arrested. Yep.
So I've looked at some of the photos from it. It looked picture perfect down there. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh gosh, here comes a hurricane. When was the first sign that this is going to be like intense?
It really didn't set in till we just had no idea what was coming. The day of the hurricane, the surf was actually getting pretty big, so of course we jumped in. The security was kind of shaking their heads like you shouldn't be doing that, and of course I ended up with a high ankle sprain from it right after one of the security guards said, I can't believe nobody's snapped their leg yet. Meanwhile, I'm dragging myself off the beach screaming I need an adult. That was that afternoon. The hurricane hit that night, and it still just didn't really set in till really, just hours prior.
Was it kind of like the whole Maine aspect, or, we don't see stuff like that?
I think a lot of people they were kind of almost mad at us because we were all having a good time, joking around. I mean, obviously we took this as seriously as we could without ever dealing with anything like this in our lives. They're like, this is a big deal. We're like, yeah, we get it, but like,
we're on vacation.
Yeah, we're gonna make the most of it right up to the last second.
Yep. And you literally did. I saw photos. You guys are all just sitting outside.
Yeah, we sat outside. They had a building set up specifically for an event like this. It was they had a couple convention rooms, one of which was completely concrete. But yeah, we sat outside as long as we could.
Yep. And then of course the hurricane came through, and what was that like? I mean, I can't even wrap my mind around, because I've seen the before and after photos of your resort. Yeah. And where was this exactly?
This was on Sint Maarten on the Dutch side.
Okay.
In the Caribbean.
So right in the heart of Hurricane Alley, essentially.
I watched it on my phone. I was up all night watching the radar coverage. You couldn't play a video game and center the thing on the island more perfect than it was.
Oh, wow.
It literally rolled and got the island next to us, and then us just dead on.
Insane. Well, we'll go through some of the actual events of the hurricane coming up in just a little bit. We have Mike Tripp on the More Music Morning Show right now on I-95. I-95 Bangor's classic rock station. It's the More Music Morning Show, 7:45. Special guest Mike Tripp in the studio this morning. Survivor of Irma in St. Maarten. Now, we were leaving off. The wedding was great. Everything was perfect. Then all of a sudden this hurricane comes around, and you had no idea what to expect. So kind of run me through what was going on during the hurricane. Where was safe, where wasn't, what was the plan, all that.
So they had two conference rooms. One was set up specifically for hurricanes. It was concrete reinforced. The ceiling was concrete. And then they had another one that wasn't, I guess, to sum it up.
Yeah, he said it had a lot of glass, which didn't seem good.
That was the downstairs.
Oh, that was the downstairs.
There was no glass in the upstairs one.
Gotcha.
So their train of thought was let's split them up, make them as comfortable as possible for about 3 hours. That way they can get some sleep. They're going to have a long night. And then after 3 hours, we're going to move them all from one conference room into the one that's reinforced during the worst part of the storm.
So you had 300 people in this small room.
So yeah,
wow.
So it wasn't very long after that we'd all moved into that second room. That the storm, you get towards that eye wall where the strongest winds.
Yeah,
and it shook the building, and I keep my composure pretty well, but there's a point there where the wind's blowing by, so it's actually drawing air out of the room, so the doors were getting crushed outwards.
Wow.
It was interesting to see. And then the ceiling, I didn't understand the setup of the ceiling yet. Had I would have felt a little better, but watching it, it looked like you launched the building into space, and the ceiling was weightless. It was starting to float.
Oh my
God. The building
was
shaking, and there was that 10-second window of, well, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, the winds were around like what, 200 miles an hour, something like that?
I still have not wrapped my brain around this. After the storm, Nathan made the announcement. I thought he was joking because he was trying to get us ready for the next storm coming up, which is Jose, which is right on the heels of Irma.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we just survived. I thought he said category 67 hurricane, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, he's making light fun of it. Well, Ben came up to me later. He goes, did you just comprehend what he just said? No. And so I asked Nathan later, I was like, were you joking or was that for real? He said it was 220 mile an hour sustained winds.
Oh, my gosh.
300 mile an hour gusts. We had 3 tornadoes drop down.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And right at the eye wall, the last update I got, it was 40-foot swells. I don't know what it ended up being. It just, as soon as he said that, I'm like, all right, this isn't real anymore.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my brain around those figures.
I mean, you look at some of your photos from before and after, and I mean, it just looks like he got leveled. I mean, and this is, you said it's one of the safest places on that island to be, so at least that was good, but to see how much damage to that building is just incredible. You can't fathom it, you know?
Yeah, I'm still trying to, once again, wrap my brain around.
I mean, it must just not feel real at this point. It's
no,
just,
even looking at the pictures and stuff, you just kind of shake your head and go, no way, this is something out of a movie.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about how you got out of Dodge, because that was just as much of a story as the actual hurricane itself. We'll talk more next hour with Mike Tripp on the More Music Morning Show on I-95. I-95, Bangor's classic rock station. It's the More Music Morning Show, 710, story time with Mike Tripp. So we were talking about, the actual hurricane. I mean, some incredible 3 tornadoes touching down while this hurricane was going on. Insane. So tell me a little bit about the aftermath and everything, because you were saying off air, about all the sanitation that had to go into it, because you don't think about, oh my gosh, you got all these people cramped into this small space. You got to have it clean or else people get sick and it just makes things worse. How did you guys pick up the tools and get to work?
It happened pretty quick. As soon as they were sending guys out to check the weather, make sure the wind had died down enough where it was, reasonably safe to go out and we can start clearing debris so we can get, trucks in or whatever needed to happen. It happened probably, I don't know, the afternoon after or so. So, I mean, the surf was still enormous outside. You go out and it just looks like a nuke went off in the town.
Yeah. We were looking at some of the photos. I mean, words don't describe it well.
Right. But I mean, if you had asked me before this all happened, hey, theoretical situation, you're on an island that gets decimated. Who do you want with you if you got to rebuild stuff? And it would be that same group. And I say that, before the hurricane, not after watching them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really an ideal group. We had guys that knew industrial, level plumbing, not just your home stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do that stuff, but we had a guy that just came off that $1 billion chunk that Chimbro was doing for Exxon. Down, he had just gotten out of Harvey like a week prior.
Oh my God.
That's convenient.
The nasty weather down in St. Martin. That didn't work out so well. So, I mean, it was a great crew. One of the first kind of the funny stories that, getting stuff done they needed done was we needed diesel for the generators. So the head guy was like, we're trying to get a hold of the owner of the excavator. We've got debris everywhere. He goes, well, we can't get a hold of him for the keys. So, and he kind of like sarcastically was like, unless anybody knows how to hotwire. And Arma and I kind of grinned at each other like, no, we wouldn't know the first thing about that. 5 minutes later, we'd go down there and get it running, and he blew all the debris out of there in about 15 minutes. We hotwired a couple golf carts for 3 rows of seating for running material. Ended up lighting one of them on fire.
Oh my gosh.
I was able to cut the harness and throw it as a fireball, and all right, let's try this again, and rewired it and got it going. But everybody brought so much to the table as far as, skills to build stuff, or Ben was able to do the assessment after the hurricane on the structural integrity to make sure it can hold up for the next hurricane.
Yep.
Very important.
It was just a great group. Everybody pulled together and kept their composure through a pretty, crazy situation.
Yeah.
I still can't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah. Well, you were saying when the military came in after, they were really impressed by some of the repairs you guys did.
Yeah, they were impressed enough where they actually took over the facility, and that's their command center right now. It was close to the airport, and they were surprised. We had running water there. We had gotten the electricity back up and going, so they that's where they are right now.
Wow. And so tell me a little bit about getting off the island, too, because, I mean, that was kind of a scary situation because you didn't know how long you were going to be stuck there.
Right. I guess the owner of the resort was good friends with the CEO of Sunwing Airlines, the Canadian airline, and he was able to it was the only commercial airline coming in and out. We saw a couple C-130s land. They weren't able to take a whole lot of passengers with them, but that day it was an emotional roller coaster. They came to us the night before we left. We left on a Saturday. So Friday night they came to us and said, "Hey, listen, we've locked in a flight with 99 seats. You guys are on that flight." So that night we're all, emotions are high.
Yep.
We're laughing. We're out of here tomorrow at 7. So we all next morning line up by the road, and I can see it in his eyes that something's not right. And he goes, "Listen, we've got some injured people from another resort that got to go.
Yep.
I need 19 volunteers to stay behind because we don't have the seats that we told you."
Oh, wow.
So we're all
wow.
looking around. So long story short, our group ended up getting split up. It was me and I believe 6 other people. Proby was one of them.
Yep.
You know him. So that walk back was just, heads down, like, ugh, just want to throw up. So I'm trying to get my head back in the game on what needs to be done for the next hurricane, because who knows, Jose was 6 hours out.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
So 20 minutes later, this girl comes running down. She goes, "I need you at the airport right now. We've got more seats. I don't know how many, but we need you there." So turns out they had enough seats. We got on that airplane. You walk on the airplane, everybody's clapping. You see the faces of your friends on the airplane. You know you're going home. So it was just we're going home.
Yeah.
Oh, we are going home. And then it was that relief, and just it was a super emotional moment. Flew us out to the Dominican, and at that point they put us at a resort that was, they didn't get hit by the hurricane or anything. So I was like, if we got to wait this out for 3 or 4 days, I don't mind staying here. They got running water, they got beds, all that stuff you take for granted. So we ended up getting a flight into Toronto, and then we ended up chartering a bus over the border into Maine and got home Monday morning.
Wow. Quite the adventure.
It was something we'll never forget.
Definitely. And definitely a wedding no one will ever forget. Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks for coming in this morning and talking with us about this. It was just absolutely incredible hearing your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Always a fun time.
More Music Morning Show on I-95. I-95.